Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to another new moon, another new month. Give Yahweh praise that we were all able to make it here, make it through another week, and make it through another month. This evening's new moon class is called Near and Future Preparation. Near and Future Preparation. We're going to start tonight in 1 Chronicles chapter 22. We're going to read verses 5 through 19. That's 1 Chronicles chapter 22, verses 5 through 19. We all know that as far as when it comes to preparation, the preparation day is usually what we call Friday, the day before the Shabbat. And, you know, a lot of us don't take into consideration that the day of Friday is when we're usually trying to get things done. But sundown Thursday evening, the preparation day actually begins. How many of us actually take advantage and start preparing from that Thursday evening? I saw one hand, I see hands going up. You know, so it gives you more time instead of just rushing through the last minute on that Friday. If you keep in mind, sundown Thursday evening is the preparation day. You know, and even with that, there's other preparations that we need to consider as we're walking this walk and not just the preparation day. 1 Chronicles chapter 22, verses 5 through 19.
And David said, Solomon my son is young and tender, and the house that is to be built for Yahweh must be exceedingly magnificent, of fame and of glory throughout all countries. I will therefore now make preparation for it. So David prepared abundantly before his death.
See, here he's saying he's now making preparation for something that's yet to come, the house of Yahweh that's yet to come. And he's already been told that he can't build it. He can't build it with his hands. He has too much blood on his hands. But yet he's making preparation for something that he's not going to be able to build. He said his son is still young. So he's taking advantage and making preparations while his son is still young. Go ahead, brother.
Then he called for Solomon his son, and charged him to build a house for Yahweh, El of Israel.
Now he's giving his son instructions of what needs to be done. He's making preparations, but he's instructing his son on what needs to be done. That's another preparation that we as parents have a responsibility of preparing our children for what's to come, preparing them on this walk, on this journey. We also have that responsibility. It's not just the preparation day before the Shabbat that we've got to worry about. There's other preparations that we need to put in place. Go ahead.
And David said to Solomon, My son, as for me, it was in my mind to build a house unto the name of Yahweh my Elohim. But the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build a house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight. Behold, a son shall be born to thee, who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies round about. For his name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quietness upon Israel in his days. He shall build a house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father. And I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever.
In this here, there's two things going on. We're looking at the natural son, Solomon, building the kingdom, but then he's also talking about Israel, building that spiritual kingdom. But here we are, Yahweh's also telling him what's yet to come. Since Yahweh has given him instructions of what's yet to come, he's now making preparations for his son to carry this out. Go ahead.
Now, my son, Yahweh be with thee, and prosper thee, and build the house of Yahweh thy Elohim, as he hath said of thee. Only Yahweh give thee wisdom and understanding, and give thee charge concerning Israel, that thou mayest keep the law of Yahweh thy Elohim.
Even in that verse 12, he says, only Yahweh give you wisdom and understanding and give you charge concerning Israel. Later on, we find out that when Shlomo prayed, that's the only thing he asked for. He didn't ask for riches. But what he was asking for, his dad already asked for him. Go ahead.
Then shalt thou prosper, if thou takest heed to fulfill the statutes and judgments which Yahweh charged Moses with concerning Israel. Be strong and of good courage. Dread not, nor be dismayed. Now, behold, in my trouble I have prepared for the house of Yahweh 100,000 talents of gold, and 1,000 talents of silver, and of brass and iron without weight, for it is in abundance. Timber also and stone I have prepared, and thou mayest add thereto.
In other words, you don't have to start from scratch. I've already started making preparations so your job can be a little easier. You don't have to start from scratch. Go ahead.
Moreover, there are workmen with thee in abundance, hewers and workers of stone and timber, and all manners of cunning men for every manner of work. Of the gold, the silver, and the brass, and the iron, there is no number. Arise, therefore, and be doing, and Yahweh will be with thee. David also commanded all the princes of Israel to help Solomon and Solomon his son, saying, Is not Yahweh your Elohim with you? And hath he not given you rest on every side? For he hath given the inhabitants of the land unto my hand, and the land is subdued before Yahweh and before his people.
So now he's also recruiting the help for his son. Go ahead.
Now set your hearts and your souls to seek Yahweh your Elohim. Arise, therefore, and build ye the sanctuary of Yahweh Elohim, to bring the ark of the covenant of Yahweh and the holy vessels of Elohim into the house that is to be built in the name of Yahweh.
Let's go to Genesis chapter 22. We're going to read verses 1 through 12. Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 12. So you see, preparation is not just for yourself. You can make preparations for your children as well. We can read in the scriptures where Yaakov told his servant, hey, don't make my son marry any of these women. Go get somebody out of these people. It's preparation. But see, in our society nowadays, all we think about is ourselves. We don't think about setting up a future for ourselves as we get older, as well as for our children as they get older, and our children's children. Genesis chapter 22. And we're going to start
Genesis
at verse
22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee unto the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell you of. And Abraham rose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which Elohim had told him.
So here we see he got up, he saddled his ass, he took 2 young men with him, he's making preparations, he clave wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went on to the place which Yahweh told him. He didn't just get up and go. He took the necessary things that was going to be needed for the sacrifice. Go ahead.
Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the donkeys, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the wood, and he took the fire in his hand and the knife, and they went both of them together.
Once again, he's carrying the provisions necessary for the sacrifice. Go ahead.
And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?
So we've got all the necessary things for this sacrifice. But where's this lamb? There's something missing. You've got all the provisions, but where's the lamb? Something's missing. What's his answer? Go ahead.
And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for the burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood.
So even with building the altar, he had to have some type of tools. He just didn't go through and throw the woods down and do the sacrifice. Still had preparation steps had to be done before the sacrifice could be made. Go ahead.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of the heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
So while he made preparations to go and make his sacrifice, which was his son, which was supposed to be his son, Yahweh was already making his preparations based upon him following through on what he needed to follow through on. Let's go to Genesis chapter 50. See, sometimes we just want to jump up and take care of some stuff and don't make preparations leading up to that. Or we think everything's just going to work itself out when we've made no preparations for it to work itself out. Abraham trusted that Yahweh was going to work it out, but he still made preparations to go the distance of what he needed to go. Start at verse 12, please. Genesis chapter 50 and verse 12.
And his son did unto him according as he commanded them. For his son carried him into the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought with the field for a possession of a burying place of Ephraim the Hittite before Mamre. And Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to bury his father, after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren and their sin, for they did unto thee evil.
Now what they're talking about is what the father said to them to tell Joseph or Yosef. So they already knew that once this time came, this is what we were told to say unto him to kind of calm his wrath down, if there's any wrath. But what we read before that, they followed his commandment, his wishes. He made preparations of what his end result should be. Back here it says a field was bought, a cave in the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought. So preparations was made back then of what would happen to him when he passed on. And he was able to let his children know, this is my wishes, this is my desire. He didn't wait and just let them have to worry about it. He made preparations for his final outcome. Go ahead.
Genesis 50, verse 17. And now, we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the Elohim of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face. And they said, Behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for I am in the place of Elohim. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but Elohim meant it for unto good, to bring to pass as it is today, to save much people alive.
So while they're worrying about themselves and what they did unto him, he's now telling them, no, Yahweh did this in preparation to save y'all lives. Preparations was made. What you guys did to me, that you're now sorry for, that you meant as evil unto me, no. Yahweh did this in preparation for me now to be able to help you, to be able to save you and much people alive. Preparations was made. Their father made preparations of what his final outcome would be and where he wanted to be buried. Yahweh made preparation through them ill-treating Yosef to save their lives. Go ahead.
Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. And Joseph dealt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were brought up upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said unto the brethren, I die, and Elohim will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land unto the land which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph said, an oath of the children, and Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence.
So now, the same way we saw that the Father made commandments of them, and they followed through. Now Yosef is expecting the same thing. Yosef is saying, hey, this is what I need from you guys. Go ahead.
That was it.
Okay. Let's go to Exodus chapter 13. We're going to read verses 17 through 19. So Yosef is now taking an oath from them, even in his passing on, expecting that, hey, the preparations that I'm making now will be followed through upon.
Exodus 13, verse 17. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For Elohim said, Lest peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. But Elohim led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. And the children of Israel went up harnessed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones away hence with you.
So we read back in Genesis where Yosef asked for something to be carried out in preparation with his passing. We just read that they're following through on the preparations that he made, the request that he put forth. Let's go to Joshua chapter 24. We're going to read verse 32. That's Joshua chapter 24, And we're going to read verse 32.
And the bones of Joseph, which the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, buried them in Shechem, in a parcel of ground which Jacob bought of the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for all 100 pieces of silver. And it came to the inheritance of the children of Joseph.
Now, Yosef made a request, right, of what should be done with him. He was now buried in a sepulchre purchased by Jacob. Preparations that was made even before his time. This was even before Yosef, that this was set up. Family preparation going down the line. Do we sit down and prepare our children for the future? Are we sitting down preparing our own future? Are we preparing ourselves for the kingdom to come? Practice makes perfect. Preparation gets us prepared. We can come here and we can keep just sitting and listening to some good old words go in and out our ear. Or we can come here and have it in our minds that we're going to make these things mold us, shape us, and prepare us for the future to come. We've read in here where it says, these are a shadow of things to come. If you know you've got a boxing match coming up, you're not going to prepare for it? We've got trials and tribulations coming up. Have we prepared our minds for what true trials and tribulations are? Or are we just bickering about the little things we going through day by day? Are we preparing our minds for the fact that there is going to be some perilous times? There's going to be a war. There's going to be separation. There's going to come a time when all of us sitting in this room is not going to be together. Are we prepared to be able to stand on our own? Are we prepared to be able to teach the stranger that's amongst us? Are we prepared to be priests in a kingdom of priests? Not only that, are we preparing our children? Some of us might not make it. We might just be here to teach our children. Are we preparing them? Are we giving them those hard lessons when necessary? Let's go to Genesis chapter 33. We're going to read verses 18 through 20. That's Genesis chapter 33. Now we read that Yosef was buried in a place that was purchased by Jacob. This is even before his time. So let's go back and catch up on that a little. Go ahead.
Genesis 33, verse 18. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city in Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padanaram and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it El Elohei Israel,
which is the mighty one of Israel. So we see way back in Genesis where he purchased a piece of land where Yosef gets buried. He thought about that in his time. He made preparations. not just for himself, but for the future. Let's go to Luke chapter 10 and we're going to read verses 1 through 11. Luke chapter 10, we're going to read verses 1 through 11.
Luke 10, verse 1. After these things, the master appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 and 2 before his face into every city and place, whither he himself would come. Therefore he said unto them, The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the owner of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Go your ways. Behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves.
Even though he sent them forth, do we see what it says in verse 1? Where he himself would come. So you go. You go ahead of me, prepare the way, and I'll be there. Go ahead.
Carry neither purse, nor scrip, nor shoes, and salute no man by the way.
Instructions. Go ahead.
And into whosoever house ye enter, first say, Peace be to this house. And if the Son of peace be there, your peace shall rest upon you. If not, it shall turn to you again. And in the same house remain, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the labor is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house. And into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you, eat such things as they set before you, and heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, The kingdom of Yahweh is come nigh unto you. But into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you not, go your ways out into the streets of the same, and say, Even the very dust of your city, which cleaveth on us, we do wipe off. Against you notwithstanding, but ye sure of this, that the kingdom of Elohim is come nigh unto you.
So he sent them out before him to prepare the way. He's telling them how to conduct themselves, because that's the same way he's going to operate when he gets there. He's not telling them to do something that he doesn't plan to do. Remember, he told them, carry no scrip, carry no purse, nor shoes. Salute no man along the way. You've got a job to go do. You've got to prepare the way. Tell them that the kingdom of Elohim has come near unto you. Why? Because we have this word. We have the Spirit. Let's jump to chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 35 through 38. That's Luke chapter 22. And verses 35 through 38.
Luke 22, chapter 35. And he said unto them, When I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said, Nothing.
So in the beginning, he told them, don't take these things with you. Now he's asking the question. You went without these things. I made it so you didn't have to depend on these things. Preparation. Did you lack anything when I sent you without provisions? I'm preparing you in another way. Sometimes when you have things at your hand, such as you've got Priest Esau at your beckoning call, or you got Brother Eliel at your beck and call, it makes you not make decisions for yourself. It makes you not want to stand on your own and seek certain things. There's nothing wrong with asking, but there's a dependency that can be built because you think that it's just right there at your hands. I've heard someone say, the hand that you need is at the end of your wrist. That helping hand that you need is at the end of your wrist. Sometimes because something is so close or easy accessible, you won't research it for yourself. Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say, I know, after our elder priest passed, I know at one point I was comfortable, and at one point I was actually, hoping that elder would be there, all the way. And after our elder passed, it was a wake up for me. And, praise y'all that you're saying what you're saying, and everybody is listening.
All right.
Because at the end of the day, we don't know where we're going to end up. And like you say, we see each other here, but then we don't know where we're going to be.
Right.
So, yeah, I just want to say that.
All right, continue, brother.
Luke 22, verse 36. Then said he unto them, but now he that has a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say unto you, that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Master, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it is enough.
So what he did, he let them go and learn to stand on their own. Took the training wheels off and said, go. Let's see what you're made out of. Now that I know what you're made out of, now you can have these things because you're not going to depend on them. I've given you an opportunity to stand on your own. Why did they not lack anything? Because he was with them. But he had to make sure that they knew that these things, I don't need you to depend on these things. I can't see what you're made out of if you're dependent on this. Some of us won't take the training wheel off the child's bicycle because we're afraid that he's going to fall. Some of us won't ask questions because we're afraid we might not like the answer. Some of us are actually afraid to grow or for our spouse or our friends to outgrow us. So sometimes what we do is try to trip them and make them fall so they stay at the same level. Instead of learning to stand on our own. I was amazed when my son came to me once. We're sitting in the front yard. He was riding on the sidewalk with his training wheels on. He came and said, can I take the training wheels off? I was so busy I wasn't really paying attention. I said, yeah, go for it. Kid grabbed some tools, took the training wheels off. I'm doing whatever and I look up and I'm like, dude was going down the sidewalk with no training wheels. But what if I had said, no, you're not ready yet? Keep holding him back. Sometimes we hold our children back, we hold our friends back, we hold our spouses back. Sometimes we hold ourselves back because we're afraid. Preparation, get in our books. Read. Get with our brothers, get with our sisters. Read. Don't understand something? Ask for guidance. We come in here, we dress one way, but we got to be cool in front of everybody else out in the streets. Some of the problems that we have, if we walk in our culture, those problems will walk away from you. We've got a journey, but we in the time of preparation. How much of us are really preparing and how much of us are just hanging out? How many of us are really preparing our children? Or are we just keeping the training wheels on? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 13. Proverbs chapter 13, and I'd like you to read verse 22 first.
Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of a sinner is laid up for the just.
Preparation is being made. He leaves an inheritance for his children's children. He's not thinking about just that next generation. He's thinking about the generation after that generation. So that means he's leaving an abundance. He's making preparations for several generations. The sinner, he laid it all up. For what? For somebody else to come and enjoy it. Let's read verse 1, please.
A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke.
So, on the opposite side of that, even though the wise man leaves an inheritance for his sons or his children's children, now you children, if you ain't listening to instruction, it's what's left behind still isn't going to benefit you. Because if we're sitting there explaining to you, well, this is what this does, this is how you handle this, and you're like, yeah, whatever. When we're not around, then you're sitting there like, what did he say again, or what did she say again? So it takes both parts. We can set up provisions for you guys, but are you guys listening to the instructions? Are you guys paying attention to what we're saying? Ephraim can have a shed full of tools and explain to his sons, well, this is what this is for, this is how you use this, yeah, whatever. When he's gone and some situation happens at the house, well, which tool am I supposed to use again? How many of us take our children, those of us with trades, and say, hey, come here. Let me show you something. And the sad thing, and honest, most of us men that have trades want to teach our sons. But we should also teach our daughters how to help themselves. We can teach them how to fix a flat, check your oil, change a spark plug or two. That's passing on. We all have a responsibility to each other. I learned from Ephraim. I can learn from Eliel. Learn from Brother Barak, Mother Lael. Because everybody else has different skills. I didn't just jump up and say, let me do a documentary. Preparation was made. Talk to Sock. Talk to Mother Lael. Talk to Brother Eliel. You guys have done this. What's the formula? How does it work? And we've had other people who, for them, a documentary was going to be a movie script. Why? Because they didn't feel it necessary to sit down and dialogue and get preparation on how this is done. They just saw it and, wow, this seems good. Do a documentary. Put my face all in the video. We look at our media team. Our media group is made up of children from 12 years old to adults. We've got people sitting in this room. The media room, the media team is not full. The stuff that we do, the stuff that we put out, we don't just jump up and say, oh, we're going to record today. Preparation is made. We come together. We have topics. We brainstorm. Scriptures are compiled. Commentary is compiled. Facts have to be compiled. There's work, preparation goes into what we put out. We then turn around once it's almost done. Then we still have to turn around and schedule, prepare a day that we can record, whether it be vocals or video. Then we still turn around and prepare a day to do editing. We don't just jump up one day and say, hey, let's do this and throw it out. Preparation goes into this. Look back at your lives and you can honestly see where Yahweh prepared you for this journey. Think about when you started isolating yourself from this person, or this person started cutting themselves off from you. And then you were over here and this didn't work out for you. Then you went over there and that didn't work out for you. And then you looked at this and say, that's nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. That wasn't you. That was Yahweh preparing you. Preparing your mind. You have to be conditioned in order to be in certain environments and be able to stand in certain things. Whether you stand firm or not, that's going to be up to you. But to make it to this point, there can't be any weak people in this room. None of us are weak because we've all had to walk away from family members, been put down by family members. But that also takes mental preparation to keep coming week after week, to keep standing up against these people. But we can't just keep standing up. We've got to move forward. After our elder died, I started hearing this thing of, oh, we're just keeping it in the road, keeping it in the road. And I started to ask myself, so when the hell are we going to move down the road? All we going to do is just keep it in the road? Let's go to Yohanan chapter 14. Yohanan chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 1 through 4. That's John chapter 14.
Yohanan 14, verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in Yahweh, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Now, here's where we get this, we going off into heaven. Okay? He didn't say I'm bringing you into the mansion. He says I'm going to prepare a place for you. I've got to go get some things in order that's going to benefit you in the end. Just like we see what Jacob did other family members down the line was able to benefit from that. They didn't have to run out and go spend money for a new burial spot. That was already taken care of some generations ago. He says, I go to prepare a place for you. I've got to go take care of some stuff. I got to go get some stuff in order. Go ahead.
And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
I'm going to prepare a place for you, and I'll come again to you, so that where I am, you can be. He didn't say, I'm going to bring you to where I am, so that where I am, you can be also. There's people that have taken jobs in other countries, in other cities, left their families behind, and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go first and set up. Once everything is set up and established, I'll send for you guys. Or I'm taking this job knowing that it's going to help me prepare some things here when I get back. I'm going to be able to take care of a few things. But it's necessary for me to leave to put myself in a position, to put us in a better position. Go ahead.
And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know.
And why you know? Because you've been there. I'm not taking you to some, they didn't know anything. Did they know about heaven? Where I'm going, you gonna know. And the way you know. They have been to Israel before. They have been in and out of this place. So wouldn't you already know the place? He didn't say you will know. He said you know. We come in here, new moons, Shabbat, holy convocations, and we read in and out of the book. Are we preparing ourselves to be in the kingdom? Are we getting kingdom ready? Are we preparing our minds to be in the kingdom? Are we preparing our children and our families to be in the kingdom? See, the preparation goes just beyond just the preparation day before the Shabbat. We got to be able to deal with the near preparation and the future preparation. That's all we're going to do for this evening. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.